Okay. Small blue glow blocks. UASVCGTA. Yeah, I don't know what that means. So, yeah. I mean, that was always the plan, dudes. And it's really obnoxious because... yeah, I mean... No, don't turn it into a constellation. Don't turn it into a constellation. Yeah, that's the fundamental differences. But once again, it's you have to understand the context there as to why they're different. Because on paper, SLS sucks compared to Ares 5 and Ares 1. Anyway, that's gonna do it for survival city building. I had to do a condensed thing today because of the launch, but NASA's, Zay. I want what has more capability, to be honest with you. All right, where's that ISRO stream here? Play Beavers. Ah, man. All right, here we go. Let's switch over to launch coverage there. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense, Def. I don't even know if Def's even here. That I needed that long response. There's no other better way to explain it. Yeah, Blue. It's almost like the people that advocate for less big government NASA programs have an axe to grind somewhere. It's really apparently obvious once you figure out, if you go and just look at the history of what happened. Arc Blue, exclamation point flags. All right, so we're going to switch over to ISRO launch coverage. This is the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO. ISRO is India's space program, and they're launching a commercial mission on their launch vehicle, Geostationary Satellite Launch Vehicle, GSLV for short. They're launching OneWeb satellites. OneWeb satellites is a communications or internet satellite provider that is kind of in competition with Starlink, inadvertently here. OneWeb was originally, for the longest time, OneWeb satellites were planned to launch on Soyuz. A Russian rocket. But yeah, something happened recently that they decided to not do that. So OneWeb actually is looking for other customers or other launch providers to launch their satellites. So this is actually kind of a high-profile launch here because it's the first OneWeb satellite since they decided to not launch satellites on Soyuz anymore. What's the story behind saving $30 billion again? Are you screwing with me, lols? All right, let's pick up the cast here.
Satellites will always be flying over new locations on the ground. OneWeb's mission is to deliver global connectivity services, and with this launch, OneWeb will be one step closer to offering its high-speed, low-latency services to connect governments, businesses, and communities around the world. OneWeb has partnered with New Space India Limited, ENSIL, the commercial arm of Indian Space Research Organization.
I don't need to do that, Brand. I've successfully proved my point. Truths are self-evident.
Today's launch of LVM-3M2 mission is extremely significant milestone for New Space India Limited, as it would open up the big global commercial launch service market.
When is the
for
launch?
This heavy
About
lift
15
launcher.
minutes?
Especially in the context when many operators world over are looking to build LEO satellites as part of...
So this OneWeb launch, guys, is launching on a GSLV, a geostationary satellite launch vehicle. That's what it's called, GSLV for short. GSLV is launching out of India. India is doing a commercial satellite launch for OneWeb here. Now, once again, this is kind of a high-profile launch, and the reason why it's a high-profile launch, I just said this, but I'll say it again because it warrants reiteration. This is a high-profile launch because this is the first OneWeb launch since OneWeb decided to pull... Well, actually, this isn't how that went down. OneWeb satellites were originally launching on Soyuz. They were launching on a Soyuz rocket with a Fregat upper stage, a Soyuz 21B. with a forgot upper stage. And once again, I know plenty of people have plenty of opinions about this. I'm just telling you as a matter of fact. So what happened was after Russia invaded the Ukraine, the Western countries put sanctions on Russia. I don't care what your opinion is on that. Just listen. All right. They put sanctions on Russia, and as a response, Russia said, fine, frick you, we're not launching the satellites anymore. So OneWeb needed another launch provider. And this is the first OneWeb launch since the fallout from that, not bad choice of words, kind of transpired. So this is a really high profile launch. It's a high profile launch for Israel because they got a very high profile commercial customer here. And it's a high profile thing for OneWeb because OneWeb is trying to compete with Starlink. They're trying to capture some of the market on low Earth orbit telecommunications, which is very, very, it's a very high profile mission. Very bad choice of words. Yeah, you're not wrong.
इस कड़ी में एक नया मील का पत्थर साबित होने जा रहा है इसरो के सभी केंद्रों से वैज्ञानिक अभियंताओं के योगदान से तैयार
I mean, Ozzy, to be honest, Dmitry Rogozin told OneWeb to go frick themselves. And he's the one that pulled out of that program. His OneWeb satellite contract, dude, was an $8 billion launch contract. And he pulled out of it out of spite. Yeah, serious. Yeah. Row goes in, row goes out. No,
It's needed to control.
I mean, he didn't say it he didn't say it out loud, Ozzy, but it was pretty much implied.
Is 24 hours long and has begun at
All
midnight
right, here we go.
on 22nd of October 2022. Typically during the countdown, the liquid propellants are serviced into the stages. The gas bottles for command and pressurization are charged to the requisite pressure. The avionics systems are subjected to checks. Critical ground systems are subjected to health checks. All these activities are currently in progress at the launch complex.
Roger.
So how does GSLV compare with Falcon? GSLV is kind of on par with Falcon 9. It is expendable, though. It's not reusable. But this is a... GSLV is... I don't want to say it's strange because, if it gets into space, it gets into space. It's not a strange design. If it's stupid and it works, then it ain't stupid, right? It's definitely a little bit of a weird vehicle by Western standards, I would say. Hang on, I want to listen. I'll tell you about it in a moment. We're about 17 minutes out from the launch. Actually, it's about 20 minutes out. So, if we got some time here, I'll show you. So, ISRO GSLV here. Check this out. So, geosynchronous... Actually, wait. That's PSLV on the pad, not GSLV. Or is it... Wait, I'm confused now. It's okay. It's one of the GSLV variants. So
Minus 20 minutes.
So GSLV. Actually, let me take a look. So payload to low Earth orbit is 6,000. Actually, this is more in line with Antares, guys. Looking at this now, it's more in line with Falcon 9 1.0. So this is a Mark II GSLV, I think. So it has 4 boosters on the sides, and those
The
boosters
mission
are...
executives are conveying the readiness of their respective systems.
So this is what I mean about it's strange. This thing has liquid fuel outer boosters using hypergalls, right? And then the core stage is a HTPB, hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene. It's a solid rocket core stage. And the second stage is hypergalls. And then they have a Hydrolox upper stage on the Mark II.
For the launch of LVM-3 M2 OneWeb India 1 mission.
Yeah, it's definitely a little unorthodox by Western standards, but once again, it doesn't matter if it makes it into space. If it makes it into space, who cares? Like, it's a good design if it makes it into space. It's not exactly an easy thing to do.
This is Mission Director. Based on the clearances from Vehicle Director, Satellite Director, Range Operations Director,
Thanks, Keeson.
TTC Director, the LVM-3 M2 OneWeb India 1 mission is authorized.
All stations to note, mission director has given authorization for launch.
अभी अभी आपने सुना
Is it the new one make? I'm not sure. Like,
यान निदेशक, रेंज
that one
निदेशक,
might have the Hydrolox
टेलीमेट्री
core
ट्रैकिंग एंड
stage.
कमांड निदेशक, इन सभी ने अपने तंत्रों की सूचना मिशन निदेशक को दे दी और इसके बाद इन सभी तंत्रों को संतोषजनक पाने मिशन निदेशक ने
Because that one doesn't look like the one in the picture, but it's definitely GSLV.
की अनुमति दे दी है.
You have watched on your screens the mission director clearing the launch and authorizing the start of automatic launch sequence a little while ago. The vehicle is hereafter
You know what, I'm gonna move
on the
this window
onboard
up there so I
computers.
can
The
read.
final parameter verification of the rocket stages takes place. Decisions will be taken by the onboard computers in autonomous mode hereafter.
October, in the early morning of LVM-3 M2 mission from India's spaceport Sriharikota is for launching 36 numbers of OneWeb Gen 1 satellites. With this launch, we are entering into the international commercial launch through NCL. This is the first commercial mission for LVM-3 through NCL, and it is our first multi-satellite mission to low Earth orbit. It is also the first launch from India with a 6-ton payload, which is the highest ISRO has done so far.
Oh, it's a Mark III GSLV. I see it now.
The nozzle end segment of S200 is assembled with the nozzle
Yeah,
and
forgive
control
me,
system
fellas.
elements.
I'm not too 100% familiar with India's rockets, but yeah, this is GSLV Mark III, not Mark II. I was looking at Mark II. So let's learn. Let's learn about something here. I didn't get it right. So let's get it right. So the first stage has S200 boosters on the sides using hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene. So solid rocket boosters on the side. Okay. And then the second stage is the L110, and it's using unsymmetrical dimethylhydrazine and dinitrogen tetroxide. Huh. And then the third stage is using hydrogen. Oh, look at this thing. The L110. So they have solids on the outside, hypergol in the second stage, so the core stage, and then the third stage is using Hydrolox. Interesting. Huh. That's okay. This is definitely different than the other GSLV. Interesting fact. I just found out ISRO held the record for most satellite launched in a single attempt before it was surpassed by SpaceX. Yeah.
SGSE is a
I don't think it looks cheap at all. Once again, fellas, you know, it's weird by Western standards, but if it works and it's stupid, then it's not stupid.
major subsystems were converged at SGSE Shah, which includes L110 stage, C25 cryo stage, and payload fairings, which are all assembled in a seamless manner. The entire operation of 36 numbers of OneWeb satellite to dispenser and payload adapter
Nice, Blue.
were carried out in a record time without compromising any of the quality, reliability and safety measures, and were done in a qualified clean room. SGSE Shah provided the requisite mechanical, electrical and checkout interfaces and verified the same. Integration of the LVM-3 M2 vehicle by stacking the stages were carried out in SSAB and VAB facilities and moved to launch pad on 15th October 2022. During the entire launch campaign, there was no anomalies. In the meantime, The range systems involving radar, telecommand, MOTR, ground station, communication, vehicle surveillance, CCTV subsystems are verified along with real-time networks, mission computers, meteorology, range and ground safety systems. We are glad to note all the range systems are ready to provide the support for liftoff.
That's the L110 core stage being prepared in a specialized facility horizontally, and it will be moved to SSAB for tilting and precise assembly between the two S200 motors.
यहाँ आप देख रहे हैं L110 स्टेज पूरी तरह तैयार तथा परीक्षण पूर्ण होकर IPRC महेंद्रगिरी द्वारा शार लाया जाता है और शार में आगे के परीक्षण तथा एकीकरण कार्यक्रम जारी किए जाते हैं। आप देख रहे हैं दो नोजल हैं या दो विकास इंजन के नोजल हैं।
Yeah, of course it would, Dave. Oh, that's cool that they're showing pictures of the integration. Look at
The
this.
forthcoming launch is the fifth mission in the success saga of LVM-3. LVM-3 is being human rated for the human spaceflight mission, Gaganyaan, and as part of human rating of LVM-3, more confidence building tests of all propulsion systems, including L110, S200 and cryo stages have been conducted successfully. This has added more confidence into the vehicle system performance and also proved the robustness of the vehicle systems. The all-up mass of OneWeb India satellites with the dispenser is 5.8 ton and there are 36 satellites each weighing about 145 kg. The vehicle liftoff mass is nearly 643 tons. The upcoming mission is a unique one which demands separation of all 36 satellites into 600 kilometer orbit, and the separation has to be sequenced in such a way that the customer requirement of minimum 137 meter distance between any pair of satellite is met.
Yeah.
This is achieved by orienting and reorienting the cryo stage using the onboard thrusters. The total mission duration from takeoff to last satellite separation is more than 5,500 seconds or about 91 minutes. In order to be compatible with the customer satellite dispenser interface, the payload adapter was modified and a new PLA was realized.
Assembled launch vehicle is then moved from the low bay solid stage assembly building to the high bay vehicle assembly building for assembly of upper stages and encapsulated assembly.
Their audio is overboosted, guys. There's not much I can do about it except play it low, but if you play it low, you...
And delivered the L110 and C25 stages for this vehicle. L110 stage is the liquid stage with 110 tons of UH-25 and N2O4 propellant combination powered by twin Vigas engines delivering 160 tons of thrust. This stage function is managed by 69 fluid control components and modules. The C25 cryogenic stage is fully indigenously developed with LH2 and LOX propellant loading of 28 tons and is powered by a 19-ton thrust CE20 cryogenic engine operating on gas generator cycle. For this mission, C25 stage alone adds a velocity of 14,800 km per hour, which is 54% of the total incremental velocity required for this mission. This mission is a very complex mission. After C25 stage shutdown, we have to separate all 36 satellites in various locations. For this purpose, unlike in earlier missions, C25 stage has to operate for 4,500 seconds after the C25 engine shutdown. The mission management and maneuver is done utilizing residual propellant and gases from the propellant tanks. Extensive fluid flow and thermal studies are carried out to understand the fluid behavior and propellant evaporation under micro-G conditions.
Yep.
To accomplish this mission, elaborate mission simulation studies are carried out and necessary improvements have been done in the vehicle and mission management systems.
That's the C-25 moving to VAB for assembly.
अब क्रय चरण को पूर्ण परीक्षण कर VAB लाया जाता है। यह तीसरा चरण है LVM-3 का। इसे VAB
So that's their Hydrolox upper stage. Yeah, hydrogen. Have fun.
India mission.
No, seriously, I wish them all the best. We know how hard hydrogen is to work with. Look at SLS. It's tough, man. It's really difficult.
System is designed with ISRO ring laser gyroscope and ceramic servo accelerometers. The unique feature of this mission is the long duration in order to accomplish separation of 36 satellites.
How big is a OneWeb satellite? About the size of a small, like a car's internal combustion engine, like a little 4-cylinder internal combustion. It's like the kind of motor you'd see in like a Ford Focus or something. They're not very big, but there's 36 of them on basically a payload attachment fitting, a radial. So it's an RPAF. It's a radial payload attachment fitting. Basically, they have rings, and the satellites are attached on the rings, and they deploy perpendicular to the axis of the vehicle. So they're going to deploy sideways. And then some of them deploy like diagonally, as opposed to the long axis of the vehicle. Diagonally to the long axis of the vehicle. Yeah, it's an RPAF, a radial payload attachment fitting. So that's what you should call them. It looks like a Christmas tree, so I call it a Christmas tree.
Arc seconds, that is 1 by 3600 of a degree, as well as micro g, that is 1 millionth of acceleration due to gravity.
Yep.
Also, we have NAVIC based GNSS aided navigation system, so that the preliminary orbit determination can be carried out and the POD can be made available to the customer.
Here's the equipment B. Prepaid satellites assembled to the satellite
That's the forward skirt. See, there's your Christmas tree. That's payload encapsulation right there. What they're going to do is they're going to take the encapsulated payload and the payload attachment fitting where it has the RPAF attached to it, and they're going to put it on that forward skirt on top of the Hydrolox stage, that gray kind of cylinder here. It bolts to it. See? That's the forward skirt on their second stage, right? And then the payload fairing with its RPAF is attached to the top of that. Or, I mean, you don't need to say it's an RPAF. You just call it a payload attachment fitting. And then what they're doing here is called rollout. They have lightning rods like Florida because thunderstorms. And they have a fixed service tower with service gantries that can actually move up and down. So the thing looks like it has arms, right? Those things can actually close and they can move up and down the vehicle.
Orbit with an inclination of 87.4 degree.
Not sure.
Is tracked through its ground station network located at Sriharikota, Bangalore, Thiruvananthapuram, Antarctica, Svalbard, and Shipborne Terminal SBT is strategically positioned in the Indian Ocean nearly 4,500 km from Chennai. That will be providing the much needed telemetry and tracking support for the launch vehicle, as well as the determination of precise injection parameters for all the 36 OneWeb satellites. ISRO has successfully operationalized a 4.6 meter robust transportable terminal with the advanced features which can be operated at any suitable location, either on land or on sea, which even in rough and inclement weather can support the mission.
यान पूरी तरह तैयार और सज्ज है अपना मिशन पूरा करने के लिए। अब हम उड़ान से 4 मिनट 49 सेकंड की दूरी पर ऑटोमेटिक लॉन्च सीक्वेंस जारी है। इस दौरान सभी जांच ऑन कंप्यूटर द्वारा किए जा रहे हैं।
The launch of LVM-3 M2 OneWeb India One mission is the 4th launch of ISRO in the year 2022. The earlier launches being those of Workhorse PSLV and the maiden launch for SSLV. While Satish Dhawan Space Center is all set
NAVIC
to host
its
GPS. 83rd launch vehicle mission and the second launch pad its 31st mission, This is the fifth time LVM-3 is set to lift off.
Minus 4 minutes.
Start.
LVM-3 पंचम पीढ़ी का प्रमोचक रॉकेट है। यह भीम का रॉकेट पिछले सभी यानों की तुलना में सबसे अधिक विकसित तथा उन्नत अभिकल्पित किया गया है। इसकी ऊंचाई 43.5 मीटर तथा व्यास 4 मीटर का होता है। इसका कुल उत्थापन भार लगभग 640 टन का होता है। यह 3 चरणों वाला प्रमोचक रॉकेट जिसकी क्षमता 4 टन के नितभार को भूतुल्यकाली अंतरण कक्षा में ले जाने की।
Dude, I don't even know what language that is. India has a ton of languages. There's a lot of regional languages there. I want to say it's Punjab, but I have no idea. I don't know what language he's speaking.
The S200 स्ट्रेप-ऑन बूस्टर कोर के में लगे L110 चरण जो कि तरल नोदक पर आधारित है उसके साथ संलग्न रहते हैं और ऊपर के चरण में 27 टन के क्रायोजेनिक ईंधन पर आधारित C-20 इंजन वाला C-25 चरण होता है।
The maiden launch of the rocket.
It's Hindi. Cool. Cool. So I didn't want to assume, dude, because I don't know. Like, dude, India there's no national language over there. There's a million different languages being spoken. Anything from Arabic to Hindi to Punjab. There's all kinds of stuff. Like, so, dude, I don't want to sound like a dick because I have no idea.
Payload on 22nd of July 2019.
Yeah, Farsi as well. That's right.
We are about 2 minutes 10 seconds from the launch.
2 minutes.
Minus 2 minutes.
Yeah, in English on top of that, right? Like, it's a very, very diverse region of the world, man. It's GSLV Mark III, Kim. Yeah. UDM-HN204 core stage, solids on the outside with a Hydrolox third stage. It's definitely
36 उपग्रहों को जिनका कुल नितभार
It's definitely
5,834
something,
केजी है 601 किलोमीटर की वृत्ताकार निम्न भूकक्षा में 87.4 डिग्री के झुकाव के साथ स्थापित करना है। यह सभी पूर्णतः परीक्षित होकर इस यान में सुरक्षित अपनी कक्षा के लिए सफर करते हुए 4-4 के समूह में 9 बार में अपनी कक्षा में अंतक्षेपित किए जाएंगे। यह पूरा घटनाक्रम लगभग 4,500 सेकंड का होगा।
Minus 1 minute.
And
LVM-3 being a digest.
if I'm looking at this right, dudes, I think that the core stage is air started. So they don't light that N204 stage, the UDM-HN204 core. I don't think they light it off the pad, but I could be wrong. Like, I'm learning here. I don't know much about GSLV Mark III.
Onto the launch pedestal.
Minus 40 seconds.
To
Yes,
provide denser medium of water
It's an interesting way of
droplets
doing
to
things.
attenuate
It's like
liftoff
Titan 3 used to
acoustics.
do that. Yeah, Titan 3 and Titan 4. That's, yeah,
Minus
Mick, exactly.
30 seconds.
Real-time programs activated.
Minus 25 seconds.
अब हम 20 सेकंड की दूरी पर प्रमोचन से
Minus 20 seconds.
सर्वप्रथम 2 S200
I'm not
स्ट्रेप-ऑन
sure,
बूस्टर
Arjun.
का प्रज्वलन होगा।
Okay, here we go.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
This is going to get loud
2,
real quick.
1, 0.
Good ignition. Parts falling off are normal. Those
Plus
are
5
those are
seconds.
FOD covers. Okay, that looks good.
Off normal.
भव्य उत्थापन LVM-3 OneWeb India 1 मिशन का।
Rumble.
Normal liftoff and an enchantingly beautiful sight of the twin S200 boosters burning, saluted against the night sky.
Nice commentary. Yeah, look, to see the center
मध्यरात्रि
engines
को
are off.
आकाश को रोशन
That's
करता
normal.
हुआ
That's what it should do.
S200 boosters
It is like Titan. Like they kind of looks like they're on, but that's just the light shining off. They'll
यहाँ
air
हम
start the thing.
इसके कंपन महसूस कर रहे हैं।
Searing the night sky, The LVM-3M2 mission moves forward. 25 meters longest 200 boosters,
Yeah,
each
Dean, right?
carrying 205 tons of HTPV-based propellant.
Plus 1 minute.
Action time 126.6 seconds. They develop a peak thrust of 5,952 kilonewtons in vacuum.
They're gonna air start here.
प्रथम चरण का निष्पादन पूरी तरह सामान्य।
First stage performance normal.
इसका प्रज्वलन काल करीब 130 सेकंड का होगा।
Good telemetry. So
S200
94
के
seconds,
प्रज्वलन काल
over a
समाप्त
kilometer
होने
a
से
second,
पहले
15
ही
kilometers
L110 जो कि
downrange.
तरल नवोदक पर आधारित चरण है, द्वितीय चरण का प्रज्वलन शुरू कर दिया जाएगा।
So ISRO does this on purpose. They launch on a dogleg right, similar to trying.
L110 stage ignited.
Okay, there's the air start.
Now we have a confirmation about the ignition of the core L110 stage.
Old tricks are the best tricks, eh, Don?
रेंज ऑपरेशन
No,
निदेशक ने भी घोषणा
ISRO,
की।
India Space Research Organization. They
तरल
launch.
नवोदक L110 इग्नाइट।
Okay, 132
और
seconds. Separation
S200
confirmed.
स्टेज के बूस्टर्स पृथक कर दिए गए हैं।
The twin S200 boosters have been separated from the ongoing
There's the
launch
dog
vehicle.
leg. The reason why they dogleg is to get around islands that they aren't showing on the map. Okay.
Powered by the Earth storable propellants
Okay, next step here is
UH-25 as
payload
fuel
fairing.
and N2O4 as oxidizer. The twin Vikas engine powered L110 stage has a nominal burn duration
Yeah,
of
Kyron,
200
that's right.
seconds.
Yeah.
Payload fairing
PLF
separated.
separation.
ऊष्मा कवच को पृथक कर दिया गया है।
Loop guidance initiated.
अब यान
Plus 3 minutes.
127 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई प्राप्त कर चुका है तथा
Hey now.
घने वातावरण से बाहर जा चुका है।
Come on back.
इसलिए ऊष्मा कवच को पृथक कर दिया गया है और अब यान क्लोज लूप गाइडेंस के अंतर्गत है।
Okay, closed loop guidance
Having
initiation.
crossed the dense atmosphere.
So the vehicle's using inertial guidance now. Basically, it's out of range of a ground station temporarily, so it's using a reference frame, just like what we're messing with in KRPC. It's using a reference frame of its last known location to be able to fly itself into space. That is an inertial guidance system. It's using the acceleration of the vehicle and last known position to kind of extrapolate where it is.
मदद से यह चरण
They do that when you don't have range on a ground
करता है
station.
तथा इसका प्रज्वलन काल 200 सेकंड का होगा।
230 seconds into the flight,
L110
180
carries the
downrange,
rocket to
185
282.4 kilometers altitude.
altitude there.
Shard, Trivandrum and Bangalore's ground stations
Okay,
are currently
booster guy
acquiring the
says the
trajectory
stage
data.
performance is good.
द्वितीय चरण का निष्पादन सामान्य। प्रज्वलन काल के पूर्ण होने
Okay,
तक
the next major step
यह
here
यान
is the
को
C-25 ignition.
करीब
That's their hydrolocks up the
2082
stage.
किलोमीटर की
That's
ऊंचाई
a
प्रदान
big
कर देगा।
milestone. You know from SLS how difficult it is to start one of those things, let alone air start
3.3
one. So
किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड का वेग प्रदान करेगा।
So yeah, they launch on a dogleg right if they're going into polar to get around islands. Sri Lanka should be there, but it's not. But whatever.
Developing a vacuum thrust of 1,598 kilonewtons. This stage
No, Falcon 9
empties the
squishing.
entire propellant of 110 tons in 200 seconds. That is close to 550 kg in a second.
Plus 5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes in. The
अगला
L110
चरण
stage is working
क्रायो
good.
चरण है।
Okay, there's separation on L110. C-25 ignition.
L110 चरण को पृथक कर C-25 जो कि तृतीय चरण है उसका प्रज्वलन शुरू हो चुका है।
Okay, they got good ignition.
और
Yeah, see, that was a
सामान्य
big
निष्पादन कर रहा है।
milestone. That was
As
a
announced
big
by
one.
the Range Operations Director, we now have the confirmation of the successful ignition of the C-25 cryogenic stage. Currently, the altitude is 333 kilometers.
तृतीय व अंतिम चरण
Everything looks good here, guys. I'm
का
not seeing anything
क्रायोजेनिक
weird.
ईंधन पर आधारित चरण है जो कि LH2 और LOX को ईंधन की तरह उपयोग में लाता है.
An interesting thing to note is how flat that second stage ignition is on that telemetry graph. That's time versus relative velocity. So if the relative velocity is slowly going up, that means a low TWR. But remember, with a hydrolox upper stage, you want lower thrust to weight because hydrogen's very efficient. You don't necessarily get an energetic reaction with hydrogen, but you get a very efficient reaction with hydrogen. So seeing the relative velocity kind of flatline for a second and then start to gradually go up is what you would see out of a hydrolox second stage. That's right. Centaur does that. Delta 4 second stage does that. Ariane 5 second stage does that. They all look like that. That's actually normal. It shows how much characteristic energy your first, and in this case, your core stage have versus your upper stage engine design. It's completely different.
The advantage of using cryogenic stages is their remarkably high specific impulse.
Oh.
For the
She's
C25
literally saying
stage,
what I
it
just
is
said.
4,344.3 Newton second per kg. The total thrust generated is 180 kilonewtons. During the 640 seconds of its operation, there is overlapping visibility from Shar, Trivandrum, Bangalore tracking stations.
All right, vehicle still pinging. The flashing right there is the
यान के
vehicle moving
सभी
data.
स्वास्थ्य जानकारियां हमें
it's ticking
वो
every
स्थित ट्रैकिंग
couple, every
स्टेशन
like
की
half
मदद
second.
से यहाँ प्राप्त होती हैं.
That means they got a good signal. It's just like a
इस मिशन के लिए
and that's when they're
शार,
blipping that's when they're
बैंगलोर,
ticking the
त्रिवेंद्रम,
telemetry down. Notice how
शिपबॉर्न
fast
ट्रैकिंग
these up.
स्टेशन, अंटार्कटिका,
How fast these numbers are
स्वालबर्ड
updating?
तथा लखनऊ स्थित ट्रैकिंग
That's
स्टेशन
showing their bandwidth
हमें
right
सेवाएं
there.
उपलब्ध करा रहे हैं.
So see, it's interesting. Time versus relative velocity. You see when that hydrolox stage first started firing, it's kind of staying down here, but then you see the time versus relative velocity on that graph. The hydrolox stage has way more delta V than the first and second stage. First and second stage are really, you don't want a lot of delta V with those. You want energy, you want TWR, you want more characteristic energy with your first and second stages because you got to move the whole freaking rocket up there. They need to be powerful.
View from the VIP
know,
gallery,
Swish.
where you can see former chairman of the ISRO.
See, look at all the characteristic energy that stage has.
More than 19 minutes into the flight,
It has more delta V, right? And don't actually, characteristic energy kind of isn't the right way to say it. The second stage has a lot of characteristic energy, but the rate at which that comes out, right? It's over a longer period of time because you have a more energetic you have a less energetic propellant. So you see the difference between what the upper stage does in terms of delta V and what the first stages do in terms of delta V. The first stage is designed to let out a lot of energy real quick, which is why they're using N2O4 and UDMH. Sorry, I didn't say that exactly right before. See what I mean? Look at the difference here. That second stage has a ton of delta V,
OneWeb is a global
but not high TWR because it doesn't need to. That's what the first and second stage are for.
Governments, businesses, and communities. It is implementing a constellation of
Has a rocket ever rutted in space? So what happened with all the debris? Depends on where and when it happens. Serious. Depends on what the mission is.
Investor and stakeholder in OneWeb.
It has happened before. Centaur
This
stages.
is OneWeb's 14th
Centaur stages after they've been disposed of after a mission have blown up. Don't know why though.
orbital planes with 49 satellites in each plane.
Torque versus horsepower.
In circular orbit.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Geek. In this case, it's TWR versus delta V. But that's kind of right and kind of not right. But yeah, the torque versus horsepower is a good way to look at it. These things burning the candle at both ends. This thing burns the candle at one end, but it burns for longer. Does that make sense?
25.
It's all about how much energy you have.
LVM3 का सामान्य निष्पादन करता हुआ और यान पूर्वानुमानित पथ को अनुसरण करता हुआ अपने उद्दिष्ट कक्षा की ओर बढ़ रहा है. वरिष्ठ वैज्ञानिक, चेयरमैन ISRO, अब करीब 200 सेकंड की दूरी पर हम कक्षा की स्थितियां प्राप्त करते ही उपग्रहों को उनकी उद्दिष्ट कक्षा में स्थापित करेंगे।
Cryo stage performance normal.
The pole-to-pole connectivity of this satellite constellation combined with the ground segment ensures better look angles for the signal strength. Unless the conventional geostationary satellites where the signal strength diminishes at high latitude regions. As OneWeb slogan says it all, creating universal connections.
That's right,
OneWeb
Suresh.
इन उपग्रहों को Gen 1 सैटेलाइट्स का नाम दिया है। OneWeb एक वैश्विक संचार नेटवर्क है जो कि अंतरिक्ष में अपनी सेवाएं प्रदान करेगा। इस संचार तंत्र से संचार नेटवर्क को सरकार, व्यापार तथा बृहद समुदाय को संचार सेवाएं उपलब्ध होंगी। इसे कार्यान्वित करने के लिए OneWeb के द्वारा एक नक्षत्र मंडल तैयार किया जा रहा है, जिसे हम सैटेलाइट कॉन्स्टेलेशन के नाम से जानते हैं। भारत के भारतीय उद्यम OneWeb के मुख्य शेयर होल्डर हैं।
It looks like
यह OneWeb का 14वां
It looks like there's a slight overperformance on that hydrogen stage. Note that the trajectory of the vehicle, see the beeps here? Look, the beeps, the sweeps, and the creeps. See how it's, there's two different dots. There's where it should be, and then there's where it is. It's like, doot, 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 doot. There's one and one. They're getting overperformance on that second stage. I can say that with pretty reasonable confidence. See that line, the range versus time versus relative velocity is showing it too. See how they've deviated from the red line? It's a slight overperformance. That's okay as long as it's within a nominal range. That's literally the reason why everyone uses nominal in the spaceflight business. Because it can overperform a little bit, it can underperform a little bit. That's okay, because you can make up for it later with the satellite's propulsion systems, right? But the key is you don't want to go too far in one direction or the other. Okay? But they are getting an overperformance here. That's definitely second or third stage overperformance from their hydrolock stage. Oh, geez. Uh-oh.
As we told you earlier, a set of 4 satellites will be injected in 605.8 kilometers altitude
oh, no.
at 19 minutes 45 seconds into the launch.
Oh, snap. That's...
Cryo stage performance normal.
You sure about that? That could have just been going out of a ground station, guys. It's oh, balls.
जैसा कि अभी हमने बताया, यह चरण 650 सेकंड तक प्रज्वलित होगा। इसी अंतिम चरण के प्रज्वलन काल में प्रथम समूह के उपग्रहों को उद्दिष्ट कक्षा में स्थापित किया जाएगा। तत्पश्चात क्रमानुसार उचित अभिवृद्धि प्राप्त कर अन्य समूहों को उनके कक्षा में प्रक्षेपित किया जाएगा।
It could be that they went out of range of a tracking station. That's possible. It's possible. Nothing staged, Ian. This is all the C-25 upper stage. This is their hydrolock stage. They were getting overperformance out of it, dude. And then it went out of the nominal range. At least that's what the telemetry says, but you got to verify the data here. Now, a good way to tell if something did go wrong here is if people are doing this. No matter what country, no matter what culture, no matter what nationality, it doesn't matter. You see people doing this in mission control, then you got a big problem. Let's see what happens when they get to the staging here, because there's clearly something, there's a blip in the telemetry here. It could have just been that they had a handover through ground stations, but who knows?
2.8 kilometers and a relative velocity
not like this.
Close to 7 kilometers per second.
वर्तमान में shipborne terminal.
See, it's interesting, guys, because I'm not sure what this is, but even then, they're still getting overperformance out of that second stage. I saw it right here. See those wiggles right there? They're getting something's weird with that stage, but I don't know if they're going to say it. But then again, I don't know. We don't have any onboard views. It's really hard to.
Cryo stage thrust cutoff.
रेंज ऑपरेशन निदेशक की अभी घोषणा हुई। तृतीय चरण को बंद कर दिया गया है। अब यह प्राप्त वेग को जारी रखते हुए
plus 16 minutes.
कक्षा की स्थितियां प्राप्त करेगा।
They're reporting a nominal shutoff.
After the first batch of satellite injection, a second set of 4 satellites will be separated 30 seconds later at
Well, they might look happy because they're seeing this.
almost same relative velocity. The third separation event in the satellite injection is scheduled 800 seconds later, that is to say 33 minutes 35 seconds into the flight.
It could be just the ground station
Fourth
handover,
separation
guys.
occurs 30 seconds later. The third and fourth batch of satellites are injected into 619 kilometers orbit after the cryogenic stage reorients itself appropriately. Until this time, the shipborne tracking terminal and Antarctica ground stations would have completed their range of tracking and the rocket would have gone to the other side of Earth. Next 5 batches will be separated in predetermined timeline like this. 5th batch at 47 minutes 26 seconds into flight, 6th batch at 48 minutes into flight, 7th batch at 61 minutes 16 seconds into flight, 8th batch at 61 minutes 46 seconds into flight, and finally the 9th batch
conditions are achieved.
at 75 minutes 6 seconds into the flight.
Inertial navigation starts.
Present.
प्रथम समूह के अंतक्षेपण की
See
स्थितियां
that?
प्राप्त की जा चुकी हैं और
It
कुछ
could
ही
just-
क्षणों में
Once again, fellas, that could just be them losing the track.
जिनका नाम
But let's see. They're going to get to... They'll get to the Antarctic ground tracking station. We'll see if it picks up the telemetry again.
The cryogenic stage
Well, it was
is
overperforming,
reorienting
Ken.
itself for the first batch of satellite separation.
It went out of ground tracking, guys. So we do know that. Let's just see. They said it just went out of range from ground tracking. Okay, we'll see what happens when it comes through to Antarctica. They didn't call a loss of signal when that telemetry went wonky, weather guy. Let's just see. Let's see what happens.
आप यह एनिमेशन देख पा रहे हैं।
Yeah, I know, Devious. I see it too.
C25 जो कि तृतीय
Two of the
चरण है
telemetry graphs
LVM3
are
का,
showing a drop
इसे
right
बंद
there
कर दिया गया
at
है
a certain time.
तथा
So I'm kind of like...
थ्रस्टर्स की मदद से इसे उचित अभिवृत्ति प्रदान की जा रही है।
The names of the first batch of satellites are 1K, 3K,
Interesting,
5K, and 7K, whose injection we are eagerly awaiting.
Yeah, negative, Green. They're using ground tracks.
One K, 3K, 5K, 7K satellites are separated.
प्रथम समूह को सफलतापूर्वक अंतक्षेपित कर दिया गया है। प्रथम 4 1K, 3K, 5K तथा 7K उपग्रह पृथक हो चुके हैं।
Okay, first 4 satellites separated.
20 minutes.
We have the confirmation from the Range Operations Director that the first batch of 4 satellites, namely 1K, 3K, 5K and 7K, have been successfully separated.
2A, 4A, 6A, 8A satellites are separated.
4 more.
And the second batch also have been successfully separated. Their names are 2A, 4A, 6A and 8A.
जी हाँ, द्वितीय समूह 2A, 4A, 6A तथा 8A उपग्रहों को भी सफलतापूर्वक अंतक्षेपित कर दिया गया है। इसके पश्चात
That's what I mean, Green. That's just a representation. They won't know until they get to the ground station.
पुनः अभिवृत्ति निश्चित करेगा और अगले 800 सेकंड के पश्चात अगले 4 उपग्रहों के समूहों को
So see the yellow here,
अंतक्षेपित
guys?
करेगा।
See the yellow is tracking and green is INS? I think they just lost it through a tracking station. I think we're still okay. But, once again, you don't just ignore the telemetry when it does something like that.
Cryostage reorienting itself again for the separation event of the next batch of satellites. The third batch of satellites will
Correct,
be
Green.
injected into 619 kilometers orbit.
They have a tracking ship, Hunster. That's how they were able to track it so far away from India.
The scheduled time of separation is 33 minutes.
Even the INS, guys, even the INS and the track, we're still picking up on stage overperformance. It's just something to be noted. I'm not saying I know something that you guys don't. It's just something to take into account. And even then, you had a little bit of underperformance there. INS and ground track, the data correlates. So, it's very interesting. See the squiggles right there?
तृतीय चरण फिर से
Interesting.
अभिवृत्ति
They do not use Diego Garcia, no.
नियंत्रित करता हुआ अब हम उड़ान से 1344 सेकंड की दूरी पर आ चुके
I
हैं।
don't know. Green. Maybe the tracking station
यान की
broke.
ऊंचाई
Who knows?
608 किलोमीटर तथा सापेक्ष गति
Nothing yet.
7.538 किलोमीटर प्रति
Lorraine,
सेकंड
no.
है।
As we await the next separation event for the satellites, let me intimate the viewers that after the separation of third and fourth batches of satellites, the visibility of the launch vehicle
That's
is
correct,
available
Supercraft.
to the Svalbard tracking station only after another
I don't know,
350
Squish.
seconds, that is 81
I
minutes
didn't hear
into
them
the
talk
flight.
about it, so I can only assume that they're not
It is
using
then
it.
that the confirmation of satellite separation is received at the Mission Control Center. The live transmission will be halted while the rocket is out of the tracking range and
Missed it.
resume
What's up?
at appropriate time.
The ground track picked up a RUD right here, Aqualex. See that? Time versus relative velocity. They picked up a velocity drop. And then the rocket went out of range of the tracking station. So either they're not tracking through ground station and it's flying on inertial, which is fine, or it blew up.
इस मिशन का कार्यकाल
I wouldn't wish that on nobody. So right now they're not receiving telemetry from the vehicle. They're going to pick it up with the next ground tracking station in Antarctica here, and we'll see for sure once they pick up the ground track. The tracking is that color right there. The INS is green. But even then, I noticed that there was a slight overperformance on their third stage, the C-25. It's not in the red line. It's a slight overperformance. So we did see something a little bit wonky there. But as long as it's in the nominal range, it's fine.
India 1 mission is about to set several firsts, like it's being
Look,
the
the apogee
first commercial
601
mission of
is less than the
LVM-3
altitude 610.
with
It seems
NSIL.
bizarre.
First time ever, LVM-3 is carrying multiple satellites and injecting them in the low Earth orbit. This is the largest ever an Indian rocket is carrying, that is the 6 tons of payload. This gigantic launch vehicle of ISRO, LVM-3, is carrying 6 tons for this mission, which is
Gene, that would explain the overperformance. It's a little bit higher. That's what the lines, see the red? The red is the nominal window, and they had overperformance there. That did happen.
OneWeb has collaborated with New Space India Limited, Department of Space.
Yeah, okay, floating. I got
आइए
you.
इस दौरान आपको OneWeb के बारे में जानकारी देते हैं। OneWeb का ऐतिहासिक लॉन्च कार्यक्रम जारी है। इस मिशन को OneWeb ने लॉन्च 14 का नाम दिया है। लॉन्च 14 सतीश धवन अंतरिक्ष केंद्र से भेजा जा रहा है। इसमें 36 उपग्रहों के समूह को प्रमोचित कर दुनिया का पहला पृथ्वी की निचली कक्षा का नक्षत्र मंडल तैयार किया जा रहा है और यह नक्षत्र 2023 तक हाई स्पीड लो लेटेंसी की संचार सुविधाएं प्रदान करने में सक्षम हो जाएगा। OneWeb ने इस प्रक्षेपण के लिए अंतरिक्ष विभाग की वाणिज्यिक शाखा NSIL के साथ भागीदारी की। इस मिशन में कुल 36 उपग्रहों के समूह के साथ OneWeb की कुल उपग्रहों की संख्या 464 हो जाएगी। 2023 तक यह नक्षत्र मंडल पूरा करने के उद्देश्य
That
से
onboard could have just
OneWeb
been the last received telemetry, though. So let's see. Let's wait. Let's wait and see if it picks up the track again here. You'll see that as floating. You said you'll see it. You'll see it. It'll say that they've picked up track.
तथा डिजिटल साक्षरता के आधार पर विभाजित समाज को जोड़ने की एक मुहिम चला रहा है। सूचना तक दुनिया की पहुंच को बेहतर बनाने के लिए OneWeb का एक मजबूत सामाजिक उद्देश्य है।
14 minutes ago. Okay. Thank you, Floater.
जैसा कि हमने आपको पहले बताया, यह मिशन कुल 4,500 सेकंड का मिशन है, लेकिन उत्थापन से 2200 सेकंड तक यह यान और उपग्रह प्रमोशन को हमारे भू स्टेशन ट्रैक कर सकेंगे। उसके बाद यान अपनी यात्रा जारी रखेगा, लेकिन हमारे ट्रैकिंग क्षेत्र से बाहर चला जाएगा और पुनः संचार स्थापित होने तक हम स्टैंड बाय कंडीशन में रहेंगे। जैसे ही स्वालबर्ड स्थित ट्रैकिंग स्टेशन से संचार स्थापित हो जाएगा, हम बाकी के 20 उपग्रहों के अंतःक्षेपण की
So it looks like they still did get a slight over performance because look, that went up to 614.
प्रथम 16 उपग्रहों के प्रमोशन के पश्चात
We should be getting in range of Antarctica
हमारे
here, but I'm
ट्रैकिंग
guessing
क्षेत्र
because
से
they have onboard views,
बाहर होगा।
they are in range.
इसलिए यह प्रसारण 40 मिनट बाद पुनः जारी किया जाएगा।
I'm not sure, Green.
This wait takes me back to the reminiscences of the previous launch of LVM-3 carrying the Chandrayaan-2 as its payload. It was India's second mission to the moon. It had comprised a fully indigenous orbiter, lander Vikram and rover Pragyan. Enthusiasm was rife among the scientific fraternity and general public alike for the lander. The challenges for that mission were to carry a heavy payload and inject it precisely in a highly elliptical orbit so that the further orbit raising maneuvers for Chandrayaan-2 are economical from propellant budget point of view. Follow-on missions to bridge the gap of understanding the lunar ambience are on the anvil for ISRO. There are also several ways for the common public to associate with ISRO and its programs. Apart from watching the launch live on its social media portals and Doordarshan National, viewers can visit SDSC Shar and its launch view gallery, which has a capacity to host 10,000 visitors simultaneously for the launch.
Hey, Jack.
ISRO undertakes several outreach activities as a part of World Space Week, which was
I saw
held
some weird
between
stuff with
4th
the
to
telemetry
10th
tech. I'm not
October.
100% sure, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm still sick, dude, but I'll be alright.
तृतीय चरण सामान्य निष्पादन करता हुआ पुनः अभिवृत्ति प्राप्त कर रहा है अगले 4 उपग्रह के समूह के प्रमोशन के लिए।
Still don't have a track on the vehicle.
अब हम उत्थापन से 30 मिनट 36 सेकंड की दूरी पर आ चुके हैं।
You still
यान
don't
की
have
ऊंचाई
it.
है
You still don't have track.
616 किलोमीटर तथा सापेक्ष गति 7.53 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड।
It is over Antarctica per the
अगले
INS.
4 समूह के उपग्रहों का नाम 1A, 3A, 5A तथा 7A है, जिन्हें 619 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई तथा 7.53 की किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड की सापेक्ष गति के साथ अंतक्षेपित किया जाना है।
Still no reacquisition through ground.
तृतीय समूह के अंतक्षेपण के 30 सेकंड के पश्चात चतुर्थ समूह को भी अंतक्षेपित कर दिया जाएगा।
Well, Meg, like I said, that means that some
We
of
are
this stuff
about
is...
2 minutes away from the scheduled separation of the third batch of satellites, namely 1A, 3A, 5A and 7A. 30 seconds later, another batch of 4 satellites, namely 2B, 4B, 6B and 8B
I'd also like to point out that's not
to be
orbit.
separated.
That's not orbit right there.
Cryostage
Well,
reorienting itself
at
to prepare
600
for the next
kilometers, that's
separation
close.
event.
You really want 7,600. 7,600 meters a second is orbit. That's low Earth orbit. Keep in mind, they are in a slightly higher orbit. A slightly higher orbit would warn a lower relative velocity, because you don't need to go as fast because you're further away from Earth's gravity well, even slightly. But we still do not have a track. There's still
यान
no,
पूरी तरह सामान्य।
there's still no track on the second stage here. They don't have ground signal.
अंटार्कटिका स्थित
And because they don't have ground signal, this leads me to believe that the INS is just baked telemetry data. That's what it should be doing, but they don't know for sure. Which is normal. Like, that's not like some weird way to do it. That's what everyone does.
Current altitude 617 kilometers. The relative velocity of 7.53 kilometers per second.
Everyone does that, Green, because that's a physics problem, not a company or nationality problem.
अगले 8 उपग्रहों के अंतक्षेपण के पश्चात कुल 16 उपग्रह।
So, once again, fellas, the reason, fellas and fellettes, to quote vice script there, the reason why I'm like super worried about this is because during ascent on the third stage, the ground tracking telemetry, oh, there's 1A, 3A, 5A, 7A separation. The ground tracking basically went, like, diverted rapidly away. Oh. Okay. Well, that's all the proof that I need.
1A, 3A, 5A तथा 7A
Onboards are showing separation,
सफलतापूर्वक
guys. I
अंतक्षेपित
think
कर
we're
दिए गए
fine.
हैं। अगली घटना में 2B, 4B, 6B तथा 8B नामक उपग्रहों को अंतक्षेपित किया जाना है।
I mean, you can't argue with that. You can't argue with that. That looks right to me. So yeah, that was
has
just.
been achieved.
I think it's pretty dang concrete that they that it was just a ground station handover that we saw. The blip in the telemetry was ground tracking.
Separate as per timeline in the non-visibility.
But they still did have some overperformance on that stage.
Separation will be confirmed after
Look,
telemetry station activity.
their insertion altitude
All
was
stations
600.
involved in operations can continue in positions.
Your altitude can't be higher than apogee. That doesn't work that way.
20 hours. Over to mission director.
Sure, Olivier. No, I'll tell you in a second. When this is over, we'll start the Hastarblend. But once again, we still don't have ground track, which is interesting because guys, this reads like the ground tracking system broke. But we wouldn't be able to have video. They wouldn't be able to transfer video through the inertial navigation system. That doesn't work like that. That's like trying to steer your ship with that's like trying to steer your ship with a door, with a bulkhead, but it doesn't really work that way. INS is just vehicle navigation. You don't necessarily transmit data. Oh.
And those who are witnessing this, the operations will continue. Thank you.
So something did go a little wonky with their ground tracking stations, but because they have
We will
onboards,
assemble
we're
back
good.
at 1:20 on 23rd of October 2022, so that the confirmation of the remaining separation events is achieved by that time.
Yeah,
जी हाँ,
okay.
मिशन
Fleming.
जारी है
Cool.
अगले 20
So yeah,
उपग्रहों
just a ground station handover, guys. Cool. Everything looks good here.
के अंतःक्षेपण की पुष्टि
Congratulations.
40
Very
मिनट
good.
बाद की जाएगी। तब तक हमारे साथ बने रहिए। हम पुनः उपस्थित होंगे 40 मिनट बाद।
Yeah, there is overperformance. They did that second stage did more than what they thought it was going to do. But it seems like the satellites would be able to recover from a slight deviance in altitude. That should be okay. Is overperformance a bad thing? Depends on how much you overperform, secret code.
And the OneWeb team for this. In fact, early morning of 23rd of this month.
Sorry.
And
guys.
happy Diwali to all of you. So we started the celebration already in Satish Dhawan Space Center with the second operational mission of LVM-3 and the very first commercial mission of LVM-3. We have accomplished the orbit very accurately. Now the rocket is in its intended orbit. 16 satellites out of the 36 OneWeb 1 spacecrafts have been already injected. I want to tell you that this is a very slow process of separating the satellites one by one. In fact, it is in sets of 4 it will be separated, and it will take long time. So at this moment, let me tell you that 16 have been separated very safely as we expected, and the remaining 20 satellites will be separating when we are not able to see it from this place. The data will come little later, and the mission operations of observing this separation
I don't know,
is continuing.
Tan. That doesn't add up,
And we will be
dude.
confirming safe separation of the remaining 20 satellites after that process is completed. I am very hopeful that the remaining 20 satellites will also get separated as safely as that they did for the first of the 16. This mission is a historic mission primarily because this is the very second operational mission of LVM-3 that has gone commercial, and this is an opportunity that LVM-3 is able to do such a wonderful mission today, and this has been possible by the support of our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, because he wanted LVM-3 to come into the commercial market with the NSIL in the forefront to operationalize our launch vehicles for exploring the expanding commercial domain that is open in front of us. And congratulations to the entire launch vehicle team for grabbing that opportunity and making it ready today for this historic mission. And I also want to thank the OneWeb team for having confidence in us to host it on LVM-3 for their completion of their fleets. And we are very hopeful that the next mission of LVM-3 will do the same to place the remaining 36 satellites that it has been contracted with NSIL for the next launch of LVM-3 M3 mission. Until then, thank you so much, and I take this opportunity to invite CMD NSIL and come over here and then speak to the public, and also to the mission director, Sri Bhaskar, to have his final say on the mission. Thank you.
Good evening to everyone and present here, and all the viewers who are seeing this beautiful
They have one more mission down there, yeah.
remarkable mission that we have achieved today. First of all, I would like to compliment the team ISRO for giving us such a commendable mission of LVM-3 and the precise performance, and I would say the most complex mission management for the OneWeb mission. I'm extremely delighted to see the beautiful videos of OneWeb, which we just witnessed now, where we are seeing the satellites getting deployed in space almost at an altitude of around 600 kilometers. I'm proud to say, I'm really delighted and honored, GSLV has made the most remarkable entry into the commercial launch service market. Extremely thankful for OneWeb for having faith in us, in our launch and our, I would say, the most professional and technical capability of the team ISRO. I think though today's successful event is significant in many ways to all the three major stakeholders of this particular mission, New Space India Limited, Indian Space Research Organization, and also OneWeb India. And the first and foremost thing that comes to our mind is that with this mission, we have shown to the entire world how to contract and execute the mission in less than 3 to 4 months. I would really say
I think so, Shuzak.
And this was made possible only because every one of us had the will to do such a mission in the record possible time which the customer was expecting. I'm extremely thankful. And the kind of synergy NSIL, ISRO and OneWeb has demonstrated through this mission is really, I would say, is remarkable and unbelievable. And today's OneWeb mission, I would say, is the beginning of many more business engagement that NSIL is going to do with OneWeb for further strengthening our relationship between the two organizations. And with the support of ISRO that NCL always has, I think we can achieve much more better successes and give much better things to the nation here back. So once again, thank you everyone. Thanks Team ISRO OneWeb for the beautiful successful mission, and I'm very sure the next 20 satellites we will hear in the next 30 to 40 minutes the kind of performance it's going to deliver to us. Thank you very much.
They're going to figure it out in the next 30 to 40 minutes. Do they not have a track on that? Interesting.
Respected Chairman ISRO, Secretary DOS, all the dignitaries of
Well, we had an onboard
ISRO,
view, so
OneWeb team, NWEL, customers, center directors, associate directors, deputy directors, mission executives, all the participants, and the honorable
Bill, yeah.
VVIP dignitaries of OneWeb and ISRO. A very warm good morning to all of you. On behalf of my project team and the entire team ISRO, very proud to submit this success to Team ISRO. This was a demand given to us by
I highly doubt they would have
Chairman
just a
ISRO
data link if they were able to get an
execute this
onboard view,
mission
Aqualux,
in a
so
very
no.
short time of less than 3 months. Once the requirement is defined, the entire team ISRO rose to the occasion, worked with full vigor and systematically as is the wont of ISRO. The entire schedule was success-based and concurrent processing was followed. There was no room for slip, and everything has to be done right at the first time itself. Rigorous activities were complemented with rigorous reviews by both ISRO as well as academia, so that no stone was left unturned and there was no slip. Marathon meetings with our OneWeb customers and NCL and with volumes of data exchange was an immense process, and it was helping each other. We were very proud that we could deliver what the customers expected from us. Praise and thanks be to the Lord, we, the team ISRO, has done what was asked by the management to our team. I submit this success, as our chairman told, as Diwali gift to all our team ISRO. As our chairman told, this is first LVM-3 launch for international commercial satellite mission through NSIL to a low Earth orbit carrying about 6-ton payload, the highest launch from our great nation. On this happy occasion, I profusely thank the entire team ISRO, including the top executives, project executives Mr. Narayanan, Mrs. Asha Mary Matthew,
Not while he's
the
talking,
entire
Dharma, I want to
project
listen.
team, all the review teams, all the entity and the working teams, all the ISRO teams, and all the participating teams. I profusely again thank our NSIL for giving us this opportunity and having a very fruitful, positive and contributing discussions and interactions. It was so efficient, never we had any misunderstanding, and we had marathon meetings almost every day. And I also bring it to inform and thank the customers, our OneWeb, that we were very happy and very satisfied in interacting with you and sharing all mutual things. Until the end, we never had any difference of opinion and we never had any dissatisfaction. This I can honestly say, and we have met all the requirements what the customers are asked. Now, last but not the least, I am thanking the entire family of all the Team ISRO members, those who have soiled and toiled for this mission. Thank you.
So thank you once again, all of you. We are ending the transmission at this moment, but the mission continues. We are waiting for the confirmation of the remaining satellite separation, and all mission executives will occupy their position to observe that. And thank you once again for this wonderful mission, both to OneWeb as well as NSIL, for enabling us to do this tonight. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, I think they made it, guys. I'm pretty sure that they had some slight overperformance on the third stage, but it seems to be not, everything seems to be nominal there. So, you know, they're just oh, yo, Modi's there. Look at that. Huh. That's him, right? Huh. That's the forgive me, I don't remember the technical, like what's his title, I forget. It certainly looked like him. Yeah, no. Does India have a prime minister? Yeah. Yeah, he's prime minister. Right on. Oh, there we go. All right. Guys, I'm going to chalk that blip in the telemetry up to just ground track, loss of signal over the hill. I'm pretty sure that's what happened there. So that looks good. That's the good launch of GSLV Mark III. And they did have, I mean, regardless of ground tracking station, they did have slight overperformance. But that does happen. It happens. So why would I make it a thing to mention the overperformance? Overperformance is not necessarily bad. but it's not necessarily good either. The reason why that stuff is kind of important to take into account is because if the rocket is doing something that you didn't intend it to do, well, that means your testing wasn't right. That means you're missing something. You're missing a piece of information. I can give a couple of different examples of, deviant aerospace projects that have ended in disaster or ended in, anything. It could be anything as simple as a slight off nominal performance, or it could end with the loss of the entire vehicle. Overperformance and underperformance isn't something that's necessarily good nor bad. It's something that needs to be taken into account, because that means it's doing something you didn't want. And that's the most important thing to understand with spaceflight. The vehicle has to do what you think it's going to do. If it does something that you didn't anticipate, that means your analysis wasn't good enough. Soyuz is going to go up in a half hour. You're going to cover that one too. Do we have... Okay, so it's Soyuz 21B Fregatem Gonets out of Vostochny. If it's streamed, yeah. I mean, I think we might have a stream. I've been kind of... Joe Ninja, I've been kind of not covering... I haven't covered a lot of Russian stuff in a little while. Because I tell you, I used to cover everything with the Russian space program, everything that they were doing, new projects, new vehicles, whatever. But after this year, just the static that comes with covering a rocket launch gets to be a little bit overwhelming at times. So I haven't been covering them much lately. But I'm probably not going to cover it, dude, but I'll keep you guys informed on what's going on if you ask. A 2021 GSLV launch ended in failure. You can see the INS go off nominal, so there's probably some communication involved. Let me see floating. So what's the twist? We'll get to it in a moment.
Which can be fine-tuned based on mission.
2021 GSLV launch ended in failure, and you can see the INS go off nominal. Yeah, but floating... It's interesting to note that with that launch... the ground tracking station did stop in a similar spot. Interesting. But it doesn't read that weird fall off that goes down like that. And see, there's no overperformance there. The lines are basically parallel. They had some slight squiggliness down there. Interesting. I mean, I think they did overperform at the very least, but it seems like the satellites are up there. But I definitely think that they might be in a little bit of a similar orbit. But hey, orbit's orbit, dude. INS didn't go off today. Yep. It's possible poison. Yeah. I mean, who knows? Something like that. All right, guys. I am going to take 5 here. I'm going to take the break now, and then at 4, we will, so in about, I don't know, less than 30 minutes, we will start our Hasta plan. Yeah, no, I've been kind of sitting on this one for a second. But yeah, you guys will see. I think you guys will like what's going on. So, have you seen the new latest video from Stratton Blitz? It was linked yesterday. I didn't have time to watch it. I streamed like all day yesterday. All right. I keep forgetting you're only 5 hours difference now. Yep. All right, so I will be back in a second here. Let's see. I don't think there's any public domain F1 documentaries out there, so we'll put on something here. Let's see. I usually, when I take a break, I usually put on like a spaceflight documentary, and I think that's what we'll do here in a moment. So, or not in a moment. We'll do it now. Try to find a documentary about Israel. Nah, there's nothing out there that's public domain, guys. I got to be very careful with that kind of stuff. You either have to have permission for it, or you have to have, it has to be public domain. That's very, very important, especially in this new DMCA nonsense environment that we have here on the internet. Let's see. I got one.
Poised on the pad for its maiden.
There we go. All right, we'll put on a remarkable flying machine. That's a good one. Why can you do NASA then? Is it because it's taxpayer? Yep, it's public domain, Alleviate. NASA's all public domain. Yep. And I have their permission too, if that counts for anything. Yeah, NASA stuff is retransmissible. Oh yeah. Because it's taxpayer funded. I have a right to be able to show that and make money off of it. At least that's what the law says. Go figure. All right, anyway. I'll be back in a second. But also I have their permission too. That's important. It's important to get that. You should probably do that too. I did that out of respect. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's right, access, right? All right. I'll be back in a little bit, guys. Enjoy this.
Sunday, April 12, 1981. Kennedy Space Center, Florida. The Space Shuttle. 14 stories high, 2,000 tons, poised on the pad for its maiden flight. This is Columbia, the spaceship that will orbit the Earth. Its external tank. It holds over 500,000 gallons of fuel for Columbia's 3 main engines. And the solid rocket boosters, the largest ever used on any launch vehicle and the first to be employed in a U.S. manned flight. At liftoff, the solid rocket boosters, together with the 3 main engines, will unleash more than 6.5 million pounds of thrust needed to launch the world's first reusable spacecraft. Never before has a winged vehicle been launched like a rocket, orbited the Earth, returned through frictional heating in excess of 2,500 degrees, and landed, still aerodynamically sound, to be launched again and again. If it succeeds, the space shuttle will truly be a remarkable flying machine. There are many other goals to be reached during the 54.5-hour mission that lies ahead. 144 test objectives are planned for the flight. These objectives could not be achieved without an astronaut crew. The commander, John Young. The pilot, Robert Crippen. Young has already been in space 4 times for a total of 533 hours. He is the most experienced astronaut flying today. Although Crippen has over 4,000 hours of jet aircraft flying time, this will be his first time in space. The astronauts make their way across the access arm toward the shuttle in the pre-dawn hours before launch. An American spaceship has never carried a human crew on its maiden voyage. At the Launch Control Center, 3 miles from the pad, final steps are being completed in the countdown. Final preparations are also being made in the Mission Control Center in Houston, where control of the flight will switch once the shuttle clears the tower. There has not been a manned launch from Kennedy Space Center since the Apollo-Soyuz test project in July of 1975. With this launch, Young and Crippen, launch controllers at the Cape, and flight controllers in Houston will experience the most dynamic, fast-paced series of launch events ever undertaken in the space program, all in less than 9 minutes. The most challenging ascent profile ever to be flown by a space vehicle. Photographers, film and television crews, plus newspaper and magazine writers from around the world, nearly 2,700 of them are here to cover the launch. In addition, approximately 600,000 spectators line the coastal area near the Kennedy Space Center. Arriving by every mode of transportation, they have come from every state in the Union and many foreign countries. The promise of a rebirth in America's manned space program and the dawn of a new era in space transportation awaits.
14, 13, T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. We've gone for main engine start.
Roger, roll. The roll will put the shuttle on its precise heading toward an imaginary target in space.
Roll program complete.
Roger, roll complete.
Status, Fido. Go. Booster, go. GNC, go. Eagle, go. Go at 40, Capcom. Columbia, Houston, you're go at 40.
The shuttle is now 40 seconds into flight.
Roger, Columbia, on the nice ride. You're lofting a little bit. You'll probably be slightly high at staging. Negative seats. Columbia, you're negative seats.
Should anything go wrong, the shuttle is now too high for the astronauts to use their ejection seats.
Columbia, you're go for SRB step.
We see SRB step flight.
Roger, on a step.
103 converge flight.
Bet. Capcom, let's tell them all the calls are going to be a tad early because of the hot first stage.
Columbia, you're looking a little hot. All your calls will be a little early.
Okay. Okay, map looks good here. Stand by, press to MECO.
Columbia, stand by. Press to MECO.
Mark it.
Mark. Press for MECO.
Roger, press for MECO.
The shuttle can now continue toward MECO, main engine cutoff.
They like the VAP, Eagle. ECOM.
Let's go, flight.
Capcom, VAPs go.
Stand by, negative return.
Columbia, stand by for negative return.
Mark it.
Mark. Negative return. And your VAP is good.
Outstanding. Sure is. We can confirm it. What a view. And single engine rotor flight.
And Columbia, your single engine rota.
Columbia can land safely at the Naval Air Station in Rota, Spain, even if 2 of the 3 main engines should fail. Right now, the engines are generating over 42 million horsepower.
MECO 25, 6, 0, up at 220.
Roger, MECO.
And we got MECO confirmed.
MECO
Roger,
confirmed,
Columbia,
and it's
MECO.
right on the money, nominal.
Main engine cutoff. Columbia is now in space, traveling over 18,000 miles per hour.
Okay, we got set.
Roger, we confirm the step, Columbia.
The external tank has just been jettisoned and is now falling away from the shuttle back toward Earth. The tank will break up as planned over the Indian Ocean when it comes into contact with the atmosphere. Shortly, by firing the OMS, Orbital Maneuvering System engines, Columbia will achieve orbit. Then one of the most important tests of the mission will be attempted, opening the payload bay doors. The doors must be opened before the end of the 6th orbit to expose the space radiator cooling system. If the radiators cannot be exposed, heat collected from the onboard electronics cannot be released, and the astronauts will have to return home. The OMS burns are successful. Columbia is now in orbit, circling the Earth at an altitude of approximately 150 miles. The payload bay doors will now be opened.
Okay, the port door is coming open now.
Roger, copy.
Well, you are missing one fantastic sight. Boy, that is really beautiful out there.
We appreciate those updates.
Both doors have been opened. The radiators can be deployed to begin dissipating the heat.
The doors are all opened up and hunky-dory. Glad to deploy right on time.
And the radiators look good.
Okay, we want to show you our own spots here. We do have a few tile missing off of both of them. Off of the starboard pod, 3 tile and some smaller pieces, and off the port pod, looks like I see one full square and looks like a few little triangular shapes that are missing, and we're trying to put that on TV right now.
Roger, Crip, we can see that good.
From what we can see of both wings, tops and leading edges, though, all those are fully intact.
Within minutes, an assessment is completed on the impact these missing tiles could have on the remainder of the mission. At a news conference later in the day, Flight Director Neil Hutchison answers questions from reporters.
But you asked me if I knew where there were any other tiles that might be loose. The answer is no. And quite frankly, we're not worried about any other tiles being loose.
At this writing, is there anything at all that would lead you to say you might not go for a full duration mission?
Nothing.
Columbia, Houston, you guys did so good, we're going to let you stay up there for a couple of days. Your gopher on orbit.
Spacecraft, let's go. is just performing just outstanding.
Roger, we agree with that. And Columbia, Houston, just for your information, you dropped those SRBs right on target, and they were floating just the way they ought to be, and the boats were getting ready to fish them and bring them back.
Okay. The ride that they gave us was pretty neat.
The solid rocket boosters, which separated from the Columbia as planned 2 minutes 11 seconds into the flight, landed on target in the Atlantic Ocean, 151 miles downrange from the launch site. After being towed back to Kennedy Space Center, both boosters will be refurbished and used again in a future shuttle flight. The third and fourth OMS burns are also successful, raising Columbia's orbit to an altitude of approximately 172 miles. For the first television transmission from inside the spacecraft, the crew will give a status report on the mission.
The flight so far has gone as smooth as it could possibly go. We've done every test that we're supposed to do, and we're up on the timeline, and the vehicle has just been performing beautifully, much better than anyone ever expected to do on a first flight, and no systems are out of shape. And it's delightful up here in zero gravity, might add. Of course, we owe this to a lot of people, and we certainly want to thank everyone who has helped get this thing airborne, and can take great pride in it's doing so well right now. Okay, we're switching over to the aft camera here. Yeah, I'd like to echo John's words as I usually do. I guess being the so-called rookie on this flight, I had a thrill from the moment of liftoff all the way up to what we're doing now. It's really been super. The spacecraft has worked as advertised all the way along. I think we've got something that's really going to mean something to the country and the world. This vehicle is performing like a champ, like all of us that have worked so long on it knew that you would.
Okay, sir, we appreciate those comments.
I guess that does it.
That was good timing. I think you must have practiced. We're just about to lose your ghost song.
Just accident.
Just accident, says Robert Crippen. None of the other events of the day have been accidental. Every test, liftoff, SRB separation and recovery, ET separation and impact,
Discovery,
4
go and
ohms
throttle.
burns, payload bay door latch opening and closing tests, radiator latch deploy and stowing tests have all been successful.
I guess we owe you guys one super attaboy for today. This is fantastic. You worked through a pretty long, hard day, and you're essentially right on schedule, which is going to be close to being a first sort of spaceflight biz, I think, for first day activities. It's sure been fun working with you today, and we look forward to seeing you in the morning. I hope you get a good night's rest.
Okay, you guys did super work today. See you manana.
Discovery, go and throttle.
Thank you. See you tomorrow, guys.
Well, many hours went into this thing. A job well done by the shuttle space team. We can't say that she's sleek and lean, but I'll tell you right now, she's a mean machine. The Columbia, not the kind you smoke. This here's a bird.
Morning, Columbia. Welcome to day 2.
All right. Appreciate that super wake-up music this morning. Well, we sure enjoyed it. Missing a good breakfast.
Today, the astronauts will test onboard systems and also review procedures for tomorrow's landing. A test of the flight control system is conducted by John Young. The flight control system operates Columbia's aero surfaces, the elevons, body flaps, rudder, and speed brake. These surfaces are useless in the vacuum of space, but will be essential tomorrow when the shuttle lands.
Discovery,
This
go
will
and throttle.
require precision maneuverability, which the aero surfaces provide. Payload bay door cycling tests help ensure that latching and closing procedures can also be done before entry tomorrow. As with every mission, many pictures of the Earth are taken by the astronauts. Over 500 on this first shuttle flight. active volcanoes, cloud formations, alluvial fans, giant whirlpools over 15 miles in diameter, sand dunes 1,500 feet high, running unbroken for hundreds of miles. The high Himalayas, where mountain peaks reach 24,000 feet. And one of the most remarkable space photographs ever taken of the Earth, an area in Iran exposed to wind erosion, which has resulted in these breathtaking silt and sandstone formations that look more like a painting than a desert. After lunch on the second day, the astronauts receive a phone call from the Vice President of the United States, George Bush.
How's it going up there? Everything rocking along all right?
Spaceship is just performing beautifully.
Well, it's great, and everybody views it, I'm sure, just as the forerunner of great things to come. I think your trip is just going to ignite the excitement and the forward thinking from this country, so I really just wanted to call up and wish you the very best.
We certainly appreciate it, Mr. Vice President.
The crew also don and check out the ejection suits they will wear during entry. Young, Crippen, and Columbia pass every test. They are ready for the final phase of the mission, entry and landing. April 14th, 1981. NASA's Dryden Flight Research Center on the edge of Rogers Dry Lake Bed in California. A recovery convoy of 24 vehicles and more than 100 personnel are assembling here to power down Columbia after landing. Enormous crowds are also beginning to arrive. A string of traffic 6 miles long waits to enter the base. Thousands more are already here. Close to 500,000 people will eventually be on hand to see the landing. On board, the astronauts suit up for entry. The ascent and orbital phases of the mission have gone extremely well. Now the final phase must be completed. Before that begins,
Columbia, you have a go for payload bay door closing.
the doors, which have been open a total of 47 hours during the flight, must now be closed. Then, using the RCS thrusters, Columbia will maneuver into deorbit burn attitude, head down and backwards, fire the OMS engines one last time, and descend into the Earth's atmosphere.
Nice and easy does it, John. We're all riding with you.
Columbia is out of contact during the OMS burn. Mission Control will not know if this burn was successful until they are in communication with the spacecraft over Australia. It is now over the Indian Ocean on the other side of the world, but from that distance the burn must be precise so that later Columbia will hit the lake bed target in California.
Columbia, this is Houston through Yargady. We're standing by.
Burn was on time at nominal. Reserve 110.
Columbia is now committed to entry. With an RCS post-burn maneuver and several firings, it is oriented to a heads-up, nose-first attitude headed toward entry interface. This is where the atmosphere begins, at approximately 400,000 feet. From that moment until the shuttle reaches 165,000 feet, it will be in communication blackout, out of touch with Mission Control for almost 20 minutes. The landing site is almost 4,400 miles from entry interface. Chase planes are preparing to take off. One will call out altitudes and check Columbia for any damage just prior to landing. When the shuttle touches down here, it will be traveling at 216 miles per hour. Right now it's going more than 17,000 miles per hour. Before it lands, it must slow down, lose energy, and it must survive the intense heat caused by traveling through the atmosphere at such a high rate of speed. Several S-turns or roll reversals are used to slow down and maneuver Columbia through the atmosphere. This one is done at 256,000 feet when it is traveling at more than 26 times the speed of sound. This one is done at 208,000 feet. During these two roll reversals, entry heating is most severe, with temperatures reaching 2,500 degrees some places on the vehicle. The aluminum skin will melt at 320 degrees. The silicate tiles must insulate the vehicle from the tremendous heat. Since there is no test facility on Earth to simulate the aerodynamic and structural environment Columbia is in right now, only calculations could be used to predict what would happen during this phase of the flight. The predictions and calculations had to be right.
Hello there, Houston, Columbia's here.
Hello, Columbia, Houston's here. How do you read?
Land clear, and we're doing Mach 10.3 at 180 AS.
And we couldn't agree more, John. Your state vector's good. We've got good data in-house.
The entry trajectory, velocity, and position look good. Columbia is heading for home, now only 470 miles away.
More left RCS, but okay.
Right, we're showing a roll. And John, we're showing you rolling right. Looking good.
Right, normal roll.
We're showing him crossing the coastline flag. Columbia, we show you crossing the coast now.
Right, yeah. We can come.
The shuttle is first sighted at about 100,000 feet with a long-range camera from Anderson Peak, California.
What a way to come to California.
In flight, Fido, I still look perfect right on the nominal. Roger that. Out of 112K, 4.8 Mach.
We're seeing this in a row.
We see Del as 21 degrees.
A roll reversal is done over Bakersfield, California.
Oh, that's beautiful. Chase has a tally. Roger, checking.
And we're seeing 1.3 Gs coming around the hack.
Roger that.
The astronauts are making the final turn to line up with the runway.
Columbia, you're really looking good. Right on the money. Right on the money. And turning on the final, your winds on the surface are calm.
Back on the wind.
You're right on the glide slope, Columbia.
Clear, John. You look real good underneath. Everything looks real good.
Chase reports no tile or other damage is evident underneath the shuttle. Columbia's altitude is now just over 5,000 feet.
Pretty clear.
Without power, Columbia must land. It cannot make another attempt.
You're coming. You're down. Feet. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, touchdown. Those gears come. 5, 4, 3, touchdown. Hook 'em off, skipper. Houston, Columbia's on the roller.
Welcome home, Columbia. Beautiful, beautiful.
So I have to take it up to hangar, Joe?
We're going to dust it off first.
This is the world's greatest all-electric flying machine, I'll tell you that. It was super.
Okay, convoy's on its way.
Convoy on. We'll stop on the Columbia. We'll stop.
The maiden voyage of Columbia has been a success. The astronauts and the vehicle have met or exceeded all 144 flight test objectives. The integrity of all the systems, propulsion, avionics, structural, flight control, power, and thermal, have been affirmed. John Young's comments after returning home.
I can't tell you what a tribute that is to the American working man and the American working woman, too. You can't imagine the variety of people who worked on this vehicle, from all walks of life, all capabilities and limitations. It's all due to their individual efforts. They proved that they can do the job. They proved it for the world to see. And I'm mighty proud to be associated with folks like that.
What a tribute indeed. The Columbia represents an achievement in aerospace technology and development never before realized in the history of manned spaceflight. It is our basic building block for the future.
It's what we've been trying to do for the last 10 years. We've got a vehicle with a payload performance that will allow us to do that, much cheaper than we've been able to do it before. It will immeasurably improve the defensive capability of the country. It will help develop space science and technology. When we get operational, the space shuttle will be able to do in 5 to 10 years what it would have taken us 20 to 30 years to do otherwise. We couldn't do it if we didn't have the space shuttle and that payload capability. And the sooner we do those things, the better off the country's going to be.
A revolutionary new era in space transportation has just begun. Routine access to space. Welcome to the future.
I can't tell you what a tribute that is to the American working man, American working woman too. Can't imagine the kind of people that worked on this vehicle. From all walks of life, all capabilities and limitations. It's all due to their individual efforts. They proved that they could do the job. They proved it for the world to see. And I'm mighty proud to be associated with folks like that. Animal went crazy with subs while you were gone. You were gifting out 3-month subs, Animal. How many people did you give out? Okay. Thank you. Dang, you gifted out 4 3-month subs. Thanks, man. You're an animal. I didn't come back in time for this.
It cannot make another attempt.
Hold on, just real quick.
They're coming. They're down.
This next shot, though. Oh. Oh, that's pretty.
50 feet. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, touchdown. Those gears, 10.
Discovery Discovery, go and throttle up.
5, 4, 3, touchdown. Look above, skipper.
Houston, Columbia's on the rollout.
Houston, Columbia's on the rollout.
Welcome home, Columbia. Beautiful,
Oh,
beautiful.
that's so cool. Oh, God. It still gets me every freaking time, dude. Oh, that's cool. Want to take us up to the hangar, Joe? Nope. We're going to dust it off first. Oh, man. Yo, you want to see something cool? There's something that's cool to see here. So, look at this shot, okay? You want to see how badly the shuttle flies? Now, once again, this is intentional. It's supposed to do this. Want to see how badly the shuttle flies? Watch the runway. Watch the runway. See, they're lined up for runway 23. Watch how quick that comes up. This shot really drives it home. Watch this.
Without power, Columbia must
in here
land.
now. Primo left the door
It
open.
cannot make another attempt.
You see how quick that runway came up? You see that? You see how fast it comes up? Watch. Look, the shuttle's nosediving towards that runway. Yeah! Yo!
Without power,
That's ballsy,
Columbia
man.
must land. It cannot make another attempt.
200 miles an hour, give or take. 216, 230, somewhere in there. It lands at, it's going pretty fast. Yeah, shot him at about 200 knots. Yep, that's right.
You're coming. You're down.
Nice, Lisa. Oh, dude, look at that freaking vehicle, man. Now, that's a vehicle right there. Damn!
50 feet.
Yeah, that's right, Bill.
40, 30, 20, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, down.
Oh. Oh, that thing's too good. Yeah, you see how big the shuttle is? It has the T-38 flying with it. The T-38 looks like a fly compared to that thing. It's big, man. She is big. Big! That's right, Kev. That's the guy on Capcom. He's the Capcom for the landing on CS1. That's right.